MK discovers a world of magical but very small people. As evil forces attack, the whole forest is threatened. So she joins a ragtag team on a journey to save their world in Epic.
Hi, I'm David.
I'm Zorianna.
And I'm Leah, and today we're discussing the new animated film from Blue Sky Studios, released through Fox. It's called Epic, and we've all just seen it. What do we think?
Well, first of all, I want to welcome Zorianna Kit to the show. You're with the Huffington Post.
That is correct. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here, and we're going to talk about Epic, the new animated movie. Go ahead. You're the guest. You start first.
Well, Blue Sky Studios has brought us films like Ice Age and Rio, and they all have this sort of undercurrent of an environmental theme. So this movie, Epic, is sort of along those lines. It's essentially an environmental film disguised as this epic action film. So it's never preachy. It just kind of has this subtle, subtle message. It's loosely based on William Joyce's The Leafman and the Brave Good Bugs, but it's loosely based. So essentially it just takes the essence of that and builds on it. There's shades of Wizard of Oz, shades of Alice in Wonderland, and that actually never feels old, not in this film.
The problem I have with this film, and I do like this movie very much, is the first act for me really didn't work. You have these cliches of the teenage girl who's has to live with her eccentric dad. He has no time for her, and the dad and the mom were divorced. She hasn't been living with her dad for years, and you're like wondering, okay, this isn't a sympathetic character, the dad.
Isn't that cool?
I don't want to give away too much, but she gets involved with the forest creatures or the forest people. That's when it really started to work for me.
But that's sort of what you get when you have a movie like Wizard of Oz or Alice in Wonderland. You do have to do this setup of a character that sort of has these fractured relationships, and she gets then transported into this world, and she has to somehow come to terms with her own issues while helping this world out before she can go back.
I don't know how much your mother told you about my work.
Nothing. It's just that you have a delusional belief in an advanced society of tiny people living in the woods. Or something.
I too, like you, David, enjoyed the film. However, I felt like some of the writing was a bit trite. This underlying theme of, we're all individual leaves on the same tree. I think that
didn't work for you?
I mean, I know, I like that. I think, that's good messaging. But I just felt like it was cliche, trite, delivered a little too overly simplistic. This notion of good and evil, nature is good, rot is bad. Well, the world is a little more complex than that. Even with films like The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy gets to bring a little bit of Oz back with her, and she takes a little bit of the real world with her into Oz. There were things that were just a little too simplistic in his portrayal of this world.
I think it's important to point out that Chris Wedge is the director. He co-wrote this movie. It's his production company, Blue Sky Studios. I think it was some of the best usage of 3D in an animated movie I've ever seen. It had the perfect balance of high action where you're flying through the forest and all of the soldiers fly on hummingbirds. So you're flying pretty fast. And this wonderful balance that I would almost equate to the famous speedster scene from The Return of the Jedi, where they're flying through the forest. And I think a lot of people always pull on that, and it was definitely felt like that in this movie.
Mr. Wedge does an excellent job with managing scape and vista.
Yeah.
But that's Wedge's strength, though. I mean, remember Rio? That was also very grand with the jungle and even the cities of Brazil. That was epic in scope as well. That's really one of his strengths.
So what do we think about the voice actors in this movie?
I recognized that Amanda Seyfried and Josh Hutcherson were the two lead characters right away. I also recognized Colin Farrell. They invested in their characters so much that I just went with it. I thought that they were great.
This film is shameless in its stunt casting. I mean, if you like comedians, you've got Aziz Ansari and Chris O'Dowd. If you want an Oscar winner, you've got Christoph Waltz. If you want the young, hip actors, there's Amanda Seyfried and Josh Hutcherson. If you're into music, there's Beyonce, Pitbull, Steven Tyler. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
And if you want legitimate acting, you've got Colin Farrell, right?
I'm just saying. Did it work for you, though, or no?
Yes, the voices actually did match the characters. So in this case, although it was quite shameless, it did actually work. There wasn't anyone that I felt that was clearly not suited to voice those roles.
And I agree, this is one of those instances where all of these celebrities actually work in their roles.
I thought that Christoph Waltz was genuinely scary. Menacing, frightening, and really I'm thinking for little kids that are like under 10, they're probably going to be cowering in their seats when he's on the screen.
And then when you think about the two, the snail and the slug,
Right.
I mean, you got to wonder how much of it was scripted and how much did they just say, Aziz,
Go ahead.
just let loose.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
Chris, you guys are fantastic. And I laughed several times with the slug and the grub.
Oh, your stories are boring and torturous.
Because you can picture them being spun off. I mean, they are the equivalent of in Ice Age,
Right, I
the
was about
squirrel
to say
who's
the squirrel.
with the chasing the nut. So they are the equivalent to that in this
Yeah,
film.
They were fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that one of the inspirations for the director, Chris Wedge, in doing this film was this fascination with the fact that there are worlds that are out there that we just can't perceive with the naked eye, and I find that fascinating.
Once Epic gets past its somewhat predictable first act, it really takes off with beautiful animation, great storytelling, and wonderful voice characterization. So I give it a see it.
You know, for me, this film is really only epic in title, but it's harmless, enjoyable entertainment for the kids and the adults, so I say see it.
Epic is an epic film on so many levels, from the amount of star power in the casting, to the intricate details, to the grand action sequence. This movie is definitely a see it.
Cheers, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you for
Zorianna.
having me.
We haven't read the book.
Yeah, we got cliff notes on that?
Yeah.